Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands, and welcome to an SP Patrons video today that I'm making for Jacob Good as part of their custom monthly music review. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves a track on the screen. This is Wang Leehom Meets Berklee, Falling Leaf Returns to Root. So as I understand it, as I've been advised by Jacob, Wang Leehom, they studied at Berklee, and apparently they are a phenomenal violinist, so I am excited to listen through this track from start till finish, and we're going to hear what we think. Let's go. No, they're very good. Great use of vibrato there, it's fantastic technique, eh? Because I just want to give a shout out to anyone who can play the violin competently. As someone who is currently trying to learn the violin, it's way harder than, teaching myself the guitar or the bass or the drums or even the piano. Violin is in its own different league. If you can do it well, it's very impressive. Beautiful piano though.
那季节叫做寂寞，背包塞满了家用，路就这样开始走，日不见太阳的暖，也不见月光的蓝，不得不选择寒冷的开始，留下只拥有遗憾。
Head voice or falsetto? Fantastic accompaniment actually as well on the keys. I know this song, don't I? Fantastic bit of tension now. Because what I appreciate as well is how in unison the various strings players are with Wang Leehom at the start. It's beautiful because there is that chemistry there. Everything just comes into this big brighter picture, you know. 日不见太阳的暖，也不见月光的蓝，不得不选择寒冷的开始，留下只拥有遗憾。命运的安排。And how the bass is introduced as well as the drums is just so subtle. 谁都无法解谜底。 远离家乡，不胜唏嘘，幻化成秋叶，而我却像落叶归根，坠在你心间。几分忧郁，几分孤单，都心甘情愿。我的爱像落叶归根，家唯独在你。 身边，但愿对你茶会，做一世的有 See that switch between the legato sections we had before? Moving into the ba 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 ba. It's just a great way rhythmically or performatively to sort of adjust, let the listener know we're onto a new sort of tact or topic.
让我开口，你却沉默，只剩一场梦。
Fantastic use of dynamic range with the pianissimo there.
我却像落叶归根，坠在你心间。几分忧郁，几分孤单，都心安的情愿。我的爱像落叶归根。
I did like that ladies harmony on top. I think it was fantastic to have that extra bit of flaring it up a register to really balance itself across the rest of the harmony.
家唯独在你身边。
Beautiful. I think I have an appreciation for the effort that was put into the performance. And the song, given the genre it's in the setup on live with the performance, I think there are a lot of parts that worked well within its favor. I'm happy with it. I think that this was a really wonderful live performance, and I'm keen to talk about that more in the conclusion after we've had a look through the lyrics. But as mentioned, we have the lyrics for Falling Leaf Returning to Roots. So what have we got here? Raising my head to endless grey clouds, that season is called loneliness. So we had to deal with some family issues too. I think, when you talk about days like the sun's warmth, nights like the moon's blueness, we're talking about like things just lack feeling altogether, It almost seems like we're like numb from the stuff we've had to go through. Fate complies with nature's logic. No one is capable of answering the riddle. I mean, like, the lyrics, the poetry here is fantastic. I appreciate the imagery that's being evoked here. Far away from home, can't sob. Fantasy creates an autumn night. I'm like a fallen leaf returning to its roots, falling into your heart. Okay, so it seems like we're someone coming back to something, trying to find our place in something, Somewhat sullen, somewhat lonely, or willingly without protest. My life is like a falling leaf returning to its roots. My home is only by your side. But I'm willing to help you retrieve lost eternity. I open my mouth that you're silent, only leaving a dream. So like basically he's willing to do what he can in order to make up what he can for the time that he was away. But I guess it's too late. And welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named Wang Leehom. It's titled, can we get a picture of him? Yeah, there we go, that's him. He's behind me though. I don't like the fact that he's behind me. I'd rather have a picture of him playing the violin being all big. There we go, you can see him on that side. Nice. But yeah, I think it's about someone who has traveled and has gone away on a journey, and they've come back and realized that their home is with someone that they've found, or something that they've found, but they can't necessarily get what they want from it, even though they try to sort of sacrifice anything to be able to do so. His vocals are tremendous. I really appreciate the control of the head chest voice plus the falsetto passages occasionally. While I didn't necessarily, I think that the performance itself was overcompressed, so the vocals sounded a little bit flat, even though I could tell there was definitely a dynamic range to the performance he was trying to accomplish. I nonetheless could tell that there was a lot of emotive diversity there. Performatively, he's very much on top of his game, and I think that it was a tremendous effort to tell the story without exaggerating the importance of it to the crowd and to himself. And yeah, it was there was some interesting melody and interesting harmony ideas later on with the lady backing vocalist there in the upper register, but he commanded presence when he was there with his voice. And when his voice wasn't there, his violin was. For me, I have a track of around 5 minutes 41. Five minutes is a long song. And I think even if you've got several solo sections with wonderfully played violin parts, string sections with the bass and piano, well, the piano was there from the start, really. Piano with the strings, bringing it back. Bringing in the bass and drums later on, as well as some guitar parts, maybe like other bits. Like I saw a guitar there, so I'm wondering if that was involved. Either way, it's a long time. I think part of what made the song work were the seamless transitions between the verse, bridge, and chorus sections, as well as some of the unpredictable movements. Again, the fact that solo section was in between the last few choruses, as well as the interlude section where things were a bit more sort of staccato-ish as opposed to a lot of the legato, smoother playing that we had beforehand. Part of it was there was like pauses and moments where we came down a lot. That pianissimo section where the piano was by themselves after the big sort of like solo section, potentially after the big interlude, was wonderful because it allowed for a refresher. I think it helped to kind of split this track into two or into different components. And when a track is more of a sequential journey with distinct kind of points of difference rather than just the same thing over and over, it's infinitely more interesting. If I talk about a few of my favorite instruments, I think that, again, the violin playing was tremendous. Wang Leehom, or Leehom Wang, is incredible instrumentalist. It's got a fantastic, it's not the craziest violin playing I've seen, if I'm honest, in the sense that I've seen like people do really kind of wacky stuff, like really quick stuff, but part of what made it work was the precision of the notes there, the perfect pitch on them, not just that, but the intensity of it with those vibratos, with the wide variation and the intensity and the loudness of the notes there, as well as simply the feel that Wang Leehom displayed throughout the performance. They seemed really engaged within their performance, playing just as much as when they were telling the story, if not even more so. And I think it's testament to the effort that Wang Leehom has put into the instrument that it almost sounds like the violin is singing. And if anyone, again, understands how difficult learning the violin is, they'll understand how difficult it is to do what Wang Leehom has managed to do. I think that the string sections with the cellos, I don't know, the violas. I don't know the names of the string sections. I learned about them, but I forget. But there was the whole entire fleet of them there in various quarters. And I think that they supported in the lower to mid registers really neatly as well. They weren't just playing the same thing the entire time. Sometimes they play chords. Sometimes they do call and responses of what Wang Leehom was doing on that instrument, on the violin. And ultimately, there was a great chemistry between those components. But I think also what I appreciated was the piano, because the pianist was stunning. It was a wonderful display of characterization of the instrument within a piece that was already quite busy due to the string section. And we had the ability to play less notes into pocket. Sometimes we were a bit more sort of like colorful with our right hands and even with our left hand occasionally. Other times we even threw some chromatics in and kind of got a bit of interest through that. But we never tried to take the focus away from Wang Leehom unless, of course, they were given the moment or time to do so. I like that there was respect shown for the main sort of melodic focal point there, the lead, but at the same time showing a mature understanding of how to play the piano, and really also being, I think, as equally important as Wang Leehom to this piece. The drums were great when they came in, relatively minimalist, but enough to sort of like keep things pushing forward. Same with the bass. The bass was, again, the stars of the show, and for me, were like the vocals, the strings, and the piano. The bass and drums were there to kind of help things to kind of ascend. There was like a bell tree of various other sort of like ornaments and stuff like that, but most of the other instruments were there to either fill out the triads or to articulate or accentuate certain sort of interesting notes that allowed sort of for more pull towards Wang Leehom's vocals. And I don't think there was a note out of place. It was wonderfully well rehearsed. They were very tight. You'd expect that from professional musicians, but to be fair, live performances are incredibly difficult, regardless of how good you are. There are so many different moving parts. It's not like you're in a studio and you can just record it 1,000 times. So for it to nonetheless come through as cleanly as it did is testament to the skill and talent of the people involved. And I think that it was a great translation of this piece, as I think I've heard this track somewhere else, and I think I like this version better. The theme overall, what I heard there, I don't know if it necessarily communicated what the story was about. I think that there was twists and turns and bits of drama with some of the chord choices, but ultimately the chord progression behind it seems very palatable. I'm not sure. It's very kind of almost soothing sounding. Like, even though we're going through this feeling of being a leaf and stuff like that, it's like it wants to be melancholic, I'm not sure if I liked that very much. I just don't know if I necessarily appreciated how I have to kind of like, I have to push to find a connection between the main sort of chord progressions of the track and the main ideas and what's going on. I prefer things to be a bit more blunt personally, but nonetheless, given the type of the genre of music we're doing, where we're not typically too on the nose with it, I think it works tremendously well. There were no sort of uncomfortable moments or bits of tension there, more than the unpredictable sort of occasional chord or parallel. And yeah, I don't think there's a note out of place. The wide variety of different rhythms there was intriguing the whole way through. It's just, yeah, I don't think you could have made it more exciting. My point still stands on the theme. I just don't know if it necessarily fit the way it could have. But that's me trying to tell you that a rock is an orange, so you know. But the studio recording, mixing and mastering was great, again, for a live recording. The vocals sounded nice and clear, both the backing and the main. The strings, the piano, the bass drums, and everything else, they were nicely leveled in the mix. Again, it's a live performance, so it's not as easy to get a crystal clear kind of take on that, but we managed to get it pretty damn close. There was not enough dynamic range for my tastes. Things sounded a little bit too sort of like level in regards to that, but I could tell that the instrumentalists themselves were trying to make up for that, which was good. I don't think there were any resonant frequencies in the stereo field, which was great. Things were nicely niched, and the music surrounded you in the headphones to an extent that I was personally happy with. And it was nice and loud without pumping, so the bus compression and limiting was handled. I mean, effectively, this is my review of this track from Wang Leehom Meets Berklee, titled Falling Leaf Returns to Root, and hopefully you enjoyed it. And before I forget, thank you to Jacob for sending through his lyrics. I appreciate it. But if you enjoyed this, please do go check out Wang Leehom on their various social medias, and I assume they're on YouTube and all the major digital streaming platforms. To stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as you need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'll catch you in the next SC Patrons video. Spiderhands out.